What's up, Gear Mortals? Trey Xavier here. I'm
God.
here at GUITCON with another gear god, Pete Thorn, YouTuber extraordinaire, tone guru, gear reviewer, and of course, almost as important, your day job, which is as an honest-to-God rock star sideman to the stars.
I guess so. That's a pretty accurate description. The YouTube thing's become a big part of what I do, but I've actually made most of my living, I guess, being a sideman to various artists over the years, as well as doing some sessions and stuff.
We'll list all of them. They're scrolling down right now, so everybody knows. So let's say somebody wants to do that.
Okay.
They want to be a sideman. They want to back up the big names or whatever. How do you get there? What are your top 5 tips to nail the gig, to get the gig, to maintain the gig, and to not make an ass of yourself on stage once you're there?
Okay, well, let's see. Number one, I would say, is just an overall confidence thing. Like, you want to be confident no matter what you're doing. So you're going to an audition, you want to not be cocky, but have an air of confidence. Like, you carry yourself like, you're not nervous. Even if you feel nervous, you probably will be, but people want to know that they can walk out on stage with somebody that's not going to fall apart or whatever. So be confident and while being humble and be a good listener and all those things. You don't want to be cocky, like I said. There's a difference between being confident and being cocky. So that's number one. Number two, I would say, is you can't over prepare. So if you're going in for an audition or something, like, learn that material inside and out and just be really, really prepared. And that goes into a few different areas, but I would say, like, I've gone as far on auditions as, like, to rent a rehearsal facility and practice standing up, playing with my full rig, and the music coming out of the PA and playing along to it. Sometimes singing background vocals into the microphone in the PA, so that I can get used to. It's funny, like, we get used to playing things sitting down at home and practicing, and then you go to an audition. The first time you play it is standing up, it's with the guy or whatever, the artist that you're auditioning for.
It feels weird.
It feels weird. It's not the same. So practice standing up. Practice like you're actually going to audition, and then you'll be more confident and comfortable.
Okay, so, like, practice it as you're going to do it.
Yeah, and over-prepare. Really over-prepare. And so number 3, just off the top of my head, I would say, for me, it's been important to get the right tones. Artists, they put definitely get the parts. Okay, let's back up. Let's make number 3 the parts. Let's focus on those parts. Get the parts. Bass, from the bass line, what you want to do is, like, try and nail the parts. I learned the solos and stuff off the record, so that because what happens is when you go in and you've got the right parts to start with, right? And you've got all the parts down, including multiple, the rhythm guitar part. I remember hearing a story about Chris Shiflett auditioning for Foo Fighters. And they auditioned a bunch of guys, some really good players and stuff. And they said when he came in, he knew how to play all the different guitar parts from the songs. And I remember hearing that, going, yeah, that's kind of how it is. Like, if there's a few different parts, learn them all, and then you can say, well, I've got this part, I've got that part. Which part would you guys like me to play, or do you want me to kind of try to make an amalgamation, whatever, of all of them? And they'll be like, because once again, it kind of goes in the last thing, preparation, right? It shows diligence and that you've got a good work attitude, good work ethic.
Right.
People are like, wow, this person really took this audition seriously. They took our song seriously. That's great.
And, like, you're treating their baby like they feel like it deserves to be treated.
That's exactly it, and that's a great way to describe. I often say, like, these songs are personal. They've just made a record. They spent 6 months or a year in the studio making a record. Now that they want to go on the road and tour it, and they're nervous because they got to hire somebody. It's like, am I going to be able to find somebody? Are they going to be any good? Are they going to be a jerk? That's the next thing. Am I going to be able to find somebody I get along with? So there's stress involved. So by going in and being really prepared, knowing all the parts, and just over-preparing and showing that you've got great work ethic, it's like, I want to make people feel like the first time they play with me, that, wow, like, we could walk out on stage right now and play and it'd be okay. Like, that even without, maybe you don't get the ending quite right or something because you haven't rehearsed the live ending of a song, but you've basically got it. And if that's the bass line you're starting from, including learning the solos too. If there's, like, a guitar solo, learn the solo, and then if they go, that was great, you played the solo off the record, why don't you try your own thing? Oh, okay, now you can take off and do your own thing. But it shows that you really care. And many artists, want the solo off the record. They just do.
Oh, yeah.
People I've played with. So it's really important. So that's number 3. Number 4 is the tone. Slightly less important, but not really, is get the right sounds when you go in too. So if it means bringing your rig, I've gone as far as hiring a guitar tech to help me cart my stuff to the audition, set the stuff up so I can concentrate on warming up and playing and stuff. You know, it's worth if you got to pay somebody a couple $100 to go in to audition for a gig that maybe could change your life, you know, because it's kind of worth spending the money. So
especially if it's just a small investment up front for a gig that's going to pay a lot.
Exactly. And it also shows you're serious, you know. If you show up with your own stuff, there could be a time constraint, like in an audition, where you've only got like a 15-minute, changeover or something between people they want to audition. Right. So you might only be able to bring, say, your pedal board and a guitar, and you might have to plug into their amp. But many times I've been sort of insistent, like, hey, I'd really like to use my amp, and I'll set it up fast, I promise. And I hire somebody to come in and help do it so that I'm not a burden. But it shows that, like, you're really serious about your sounds, too, which is important with guitar, the tones. So get the right sound. So, for example, if I went in to audition for Chris Cornell, I had the whammy sound for Like a Stone.
Right.
I had and the tremolo, for that matter, in the verse. I had that stuff.
And then you don't have to, like, verbally convince them that, there would be, normally, I'd have my whole rig and there's if
I get the gig,
get the whammy, if I get it, I'll bring, you just show up and you do it. And then you're taking the stress away from them.
Exactly. They know that you've got the tones, they know that you've got the parts, So go in and do the best you can as far as the tones go, in addition to the music, to the knowing the parts and the songs really well. So that's really one of my things that I focus on. And I would say number 5, and this is almost more important than anything else, is be a really nice guy or girl. Just go in and be a nice person, once again, confident, carry yourself with confidence, but be very respectful and shake their hand and, thank them afterwards for the chance to come down and do an audition. And be the kind of person that knows how to read the room, like, shut up when you should, and then offer an opinion maybe when you should, and that's an intangible thing, but knowing how to read a room, you might end up being on a bus with 10 people if you get the tour, and now you're living in a confined space with a bunch of other people for, like, who knows, a month at a time, 2 months, sometimes you're out for long stretches. Be the kind of person that other people would want to be in that confined space with, tour bus or whatever. It's stressful. You're gonna get heated at times. You're gonna get stressed at times with other people. That's just the nature of it. But so people that are experienced with touring, especially if you're just getting started with this stuff, they can smell that stuff like from a mile away. If it's an artist that's been around the block, and you come in and you've got any kind of personality sort of trait that they detect it. It's like anybody who's been on the road for a long period of time knows what I'm talking about, or even a short period of time. You've toured, right?
One time.
Under pretty stressful.
One time under very stressful circumstances.
So everybody's personalities get magnified.
Yeah, you're in a crock pot or what do they call it? A pressure cooker. You know.
Yeah.
It all comes out very quickly.
Yeah.
And then there's very little that you can do about it because you're already on the bus.
You're already out there.
You've paid to rent the thing.
Yep.
There was a point at which we almost had a mutiny over the air conditioning situation on the bus.
Right.
And it was like, okay, well, do we go home now and basically sacrifice all this money that we just put into it? No, you just got to work it out, and that's something that you need to know beforehand that it's not going to be a problem.
Exactly. And those
touring's not for everyone.
And this is good advice if you do get a tour or if you're out touring, and it can be kind of a low budget tour, things get tough or things like that. I've done it, like you're in a van with 5 people or whatever traveling, between shows, 8-hour drives and all that. It's tough. The whole mutiny thing, people start complaining, and then people are like, well, I could just quit, man. I could just quit. I could just walk, and people start saying that stuff, and it's like, I remember being on the road with that kind of situation once, and I remember the keyboard player, a good friend of mine, saying, hey, okay, like, any of us could leave. We all know that. We could all go buy a plane ticket right now and go home. We're not going to do that. So let's quit threatening each other, or stop with that BS, and let's just, talk through our problems, bear down, and get through this together, and let's be supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And it's really important, That kind of, it's good. Another good thing to know, this is any business, I believe, that kind of dissent grows like a cancer throughout an organization. And when people start complaining or talking behind each other's backs or shit talking, that kind of thing, that spreads quickly. And it can tend to come from the top down, but it can start anywhere in an organization. And it's really best to weed that out and just don't complain. That's one thing I learned in Japan. Those people don't complain. They work 12 hours a day, and they work so hard, and nobody's complaining. Everybody's giving their all. And when you're in an environment like that, it lifts you up. Even if you're tired, or even if you feel like, even if there's a problem, something that's bothering you, it's like, well, it would be weird for me to start, belly aching about this, because everybody's like giving 110% right now. So, you know what I mean? And it kind of forces you to get through it in a different way. If you got a problem, you when you're in that environment, that good work environment, you tend to address things in a more healthy way. Like, you got to pull somebody aside and talk to them. Listen, I'm having an issue. You don't do it in a way where you just start talking shit behind people's back.
Right.
And, I could just leave, or quit. It's just like, don't go there. It's like.
Yeah, and so. I think basically, like, if you've got all the other things down, you could be the top guy of the world, the best guitar player that has ever lived, and if you're a dick to work with, it doesn't matter.
You're not getting the job.
You're not getting the job.
Yeah.
They'll know immediately.
Yeah.
If you're that guy, because it's pretty obvious right away, and you might as well have not practiced at all.
That's right, and it's a small world, and word gets around. So
real
it's like
fast.
If you pull something on a gig, even like 5 years ago, it's like, oh, and people hear about you coming in for an audition. It's like, ooh, that's that dude that did that one thing that and people be like,
do we really need to get him in here? We got kind of limited time.
Yeah, it's like we don't want to deal with that. It's true. So you really got to keep it together, and it's best to keep it together from the outset. You're always going to make mistakes and learn things and stuff, but just be a good person. And do the best you can to, another thing that goes a long way, know how to apologize. Like, if something's wrong and if you do get into an argument with somebody, or if you make a mistake or do something stupid or whatever, know how to just be the one that says, hey, I'm really sorry, and that's it in anything in life. Like, it goes so far if you can say, I was out of line, I shouldn't have said what I said, and I'll check myself in the future, and please, forgive me or whatever. Like, that kind of thing is just worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Because nobody expects you to be perfect. Everybody loses it every now and then, makes an error, whatever. So, anyway.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that is solid advice from Pete Thorn. So, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
And
it's been nice to get to know you these few days.
Yeah, it was really cool. We live so close, but this is the first time we really met and talked. And it's really cool, and hopefully we'll get to do some of that more in the future.
Hope so.
Make sure to subscribe to Pete Thorn. There's probably a little picture of his head floating on the screen right now. Just click it and see some of the very best gear reviews on the internet. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more reviews and original content, and I'll see you real soon.
Gear gods. Take it easy.